What is up? We are back. We're hanging out on a Thursday. It's been a while. I've grown out my Jesus mask a little bit. John B. and Sarah are officially dating, and Kanye is running for president. Every day there is something new in 2020, and it's just a wild, wild year. But we are going to jump right back in. We're going to do things a little different this time. I got 2 things for you this week, and then we're going to be doing something over the next few weeks. But first thing, let's get right to it. Best thing to watch. Best thing to watch, one of my favorites, Top Gun. When I think about July 4th week, think about freedom, I think about planes in the sky, I think about Top Gun. Tom Cruise, Top Gun, Maverick, Goose. It's a great movie. And this is a year to be refreshing up on Top Gun because we have Top Gun 2 coming to theaters before the end of the year. And I'm super excited about that. Actually, anything Tom Cruise is in, I'm just drawn to. Hot take incoming. Tom Cruise better than Tom Hanks. Actually, Tom Hanks overrated. Let that sink in. I know I offended a lot of you right then. Tom Hanks overrated. He's always got this confused look on his face every single movie, every single picture of a movie he's in, all during the movie. I don't get the Tom Hanks thing. I believe Tom Hanks is overrated. I don't know what's going on right now. So let's jump to it. Second thing, who's having the worst week? Well, who's having the worst week? It's after July 4th, which means we get those wonderful after July 4th videos of people doing stuff with firecrackers they should not be doing with firecrackers. This is the wonderful thing about July 4th. We get the after July 4th effects. People shooting fireworks out of their hands. And I've got to ask you guys, and I mean guys, I mean men, I mean dudes, I mean bros, what is up with fire and explosives really close to us? I'm drawn to it. I'm one of those people. I love to get close to a fire. I love to strike a match. There's something about fire and explosives that men are drawn to. I don't know what it is. Maybe women just have more common sense than men to not get near things that are on fire or exploding. But now is the time to get on YouTube, look up those firework explosive accidents, and they're fun to watch, and there's a lot of new ones coming out this week. So check those out. All right, I told you I had something new for the coming weeks, and I see a lot of people out there rating food and doing different food stuff during the quarantine. So one thing I haven't seen is people rating snack cakes, right? And I'm a snack cake professional, so I took it upon myself to do this over the next few weeks. So each week we'll have 2 snack cakes. I will determine which one is better than the other. And then from there, the winner will keep going on in a tournament style until we have the best snack cake left. So let's jump right to this week. We have the Swiss roll, very classic, and the zebra cake, classic but a little wild. So let's go ahead and give these a little taste test. Let's jump into the Swiss roll. The Swiss rolls, there's 2 of them. Here's the thing about the Swiss rolls, right? They can be a little melty. They come apart sometimes. It's a confusing snack cake, right? I don't know if I'm supposed to eat both of them at the same time because it's kind of packaged like that. I don't know what I'm supposed to do with these. They're just confusing. And then you can kind of like unroll it, right? Sometimes you can unroll it just like, and it comes apart. Here we go. People, you shouldn't play with your food. You can kind of unroll it and eat it like a slice of pizza. I don't know how you're supposed to eat a Swiss roll, but let's just eat one the way it's packaged. Here's the thing about Swiss roll. It's got a nice classic taste. It's got just the right amount of chocolate, just the right amount of inside. But it's just messy, right? The Swiss roll is messy. They fall apart, but it still tastes really good, and it's a classic. Swiss roll, all right. I can't even open the zebra cake. The zebra cakes, man, these are solid. Stay together better than a Swiss roll. And they got this white. They just stand out. Everything looks like chocolate. I mean, these are as big as a $1 hamburger from McDonald's. Swiss roll just doesn't match up to this, right? This still is together. My Swiss rolls right here are not together. These are a little messy, a little sticky. I think the zebra cakes are just better. The Swiss rolls are all right, a little overrated, like Tom Hanks. Swiss rolls, I think, is going to lose. Zebra cakes are going to win this round because zebra cakes are just better. I mean, you can do so much with a zebra cake, right? Like they're so sturdy, we could throw these out at worship. Just fling them out in the middle of worship at the journey to everybody. And they would stay together. But that'd be crazy. Who would throw out zebra cakes at a worship service? That's a bad idea. Who would do that? Zebra cakes, we're gonna give the win to zebra cakes this week. The zebra cakes is moving on to the next round. It's right after July 4th. And it's one of those holidays that I love, and one of those holidays I always find myself realizing how much I take for granted. Things such as freedom, something you don't really see, but we take for granted so often, every day actually. You can look at countries still around the world where they don't have freedom, where they're locked down by the government, where they can't even go to church, where they're sneaking around to go to church and whispering about God's name because of what might happen to them. And it's kind of hard to understand that because we don't experience that here. But we do have freedom. And we have so much that we take for granted that we don't always see. So just imagine waking up, right? You wake up out of bed. Most of us are probably sleeping on a nice mattress, something we take for granted every day. You get up, you take a shower or brush your teeth. You have clean water to do that. Something most of the world can't say that they have. Something we take for granted every day. You go to the kitchen. You open up a cabinet to get breakfast or make breakfast. There's a pantry full of food. Something people even in this country do not have. People around you do not have. Something you might take for granted every day. And then you get in a vehicle and you go to school or you go to work, and having a vehicle, something you might take for granted every single day. A mode of transportation, something you might take for granted every single day. And it's holidays like July 4th that I sit and I reflect on those things and really think about, wow, there's so much each day, just in the first part of my day, the first 2 hours of my day that I take for granted and I don't really think about. And maybe I don't even give thanks to God for those things, and I should every single day. But the next thing is, what do you do with those things, right? Is just thanking God enough for those things? Is just realizing that you're not taking those things for granted, is that enough? I don't think it actually is. I think we have so many things that are tools for God's kingdom here on earth. And we're called to use those tools. There's a famous story in the Bible, and if you've been to church, not been to church, you've probably still heard this story. It's in Matthew chapter 14. And this is when Jesus feeds the thousands. And what happens in the story is Jesus goes out and he feeds thousands of people with what the disciples bring back to him with just a few loaves of bread and a few fish. And it's an amazing story of how Jesus takes this little bit of nothing and uses it for a whole lot of something. And it's one of those great stories in the Bible. There's a lot of theology stuff into that. That's one of the great things about that story. You'll hear people talk about, discuss a lot of the things about that, and it's a really fun discussion. And then there's the other thing about the story, the simple message of giving God what you have, allowing God to use those things from there. When we start thinking about things we take for granted, those are tools we can use. Those are things we can give to God and allow him to use. But we always don't think like that, or at least I don't. I think we have this mindset of man, if I was rich and famous, I could give all of this for God's kingdom. I could do all of this for God's kingdom. And that's not necessarily the case. There's a lot of stuff we could use that we take for granted, that we have every single day, that we could use for God's kingdom. Or recently, me and my wife just purchased a home. And we stood in the empty home and we looked around and we just had this wow moment of like, this is really cool. We bought this place. And now that's a probably pretty normal American dream, American life type thing of somebody buying a home. And we realized right then that, you know what, we need to stand here when this is empty and we need to pray and we need to ask God to remind us to use this home as a tool. It's empty, it's completely empty, nothing's in it right now, but there's gonna be furniture, there's gonna be a TV, there's gonna be food, there's gonna be all this stuff. And it doesn't need to be just a place we call home or just a place we come to at nighttime after work or just a place we sleep. It needs to be something that we use for God's kingdom here because otherwise it's just useless. And that's how all of those things should be. The food in your pantry. Do you ever think about, you know what? I'm so blessed. I need to give to other people that don't have this. Or maybe you have an empty room. We call it guest room. And you use it once, twice a year. Have you ever helped somebody transition? Have you used that room for somebody to transition? Your vehicles, you get in and go. Do you go somewhere just to do good? Or do we make excuses that it doesn't fit in our time schedule? We have a vehicle. Use it to go do good. We have all these tools we take for granted. July 4th is a great time to reflect on those things we take for granted all the time. God calls us to use what we have for His kingdom here because we came back up a U-Haul to heaven. The things we have here aren't coming with us. And as we finish up this July 4th week, I ask you to think about that. Look around your home. Go through a day and just look at the things that you have and think about how you use them for God's kingdom. Just like in that story, couple loaves, couple fishes, that was given. Use those. Use your loaves of bread. Use your fish. Use the things you have for God's kingdom here on earth. See you next week.